Imagine surviving 100 days as Hades, god of the Underworld. You'll regain your demonic powers and rebuild your undead empire. Can I become ruler of the Underworld? Stay tuned to find out. On day 1, I spawned into the Underworld as Hades, the god of death. I had spawned into a massive castle in the middle of Tartarus, and I was accompanied by my pet, Cerberus, the three-headed dog. Before having any time to leave the castle, a portal appeared, and out came a giant demon.
Hades, I've returned to take your throne, so save us the trouble and hand over control.
Iapetus, there's no way that I'm letting you take the throne from me.
That's interesting, since it looks like that's exactly what's about to happen.
I refuse to let that happen. Iapetus, the god of mortality, then casted a spell. I can't move. And before I knew it, I was swallowed into the red orb.
I'll also be keeping your pet dog Cerberus. Good luck, Hades. You're going to need it since your powers will be gone in the nether.
The spell had transported me out of the underworld, and I had lost my godly powers. I was back down to 10 hearts, and was in the middle of a crimson forest biome. I cut down some wood to craft myself some wood tools, and collected some food from the nearby hoglins. It wasn't long until I ran into my first structure. I was too weak to take on the bastion, but I mined the blackstone from it to make myself stone tools. I then cooked up my food. I continued exploring until I eventually found a soul sand valley. While traversing through it, I was stopped by a giant wither skeleton.
You dare trespass my land?
All of a sudden, the Wither King summoned 3 wither skeletons, and I was forced to fight them. I managed to defeat all 3 of the wither skeletons, but I had no armor to deal with the Wither King. Parkouring through the landscape, I managed to make my escape, and blocked myself off into a wall to hide from it. The Wither King luckily lost sight of me, and returned back to the Soul Sand Valley. Once the coast was clear, I made my way back up, and decided to start collecting supplies to build my first house. I collected a bunch of wood, and while scoping out the area, I noticed a strange ore in the wall. I went to go mine it, and it turned out to be nether iron ore. I decided this would be a pretty good spot to build my base, so using the blocks I had collected, for the rest of day 3, I built my first starter house. And finally, my home was complete. I then went inside and crafted myself a shield and an empty bucket, and went back out to search for some more nether ores. I luckily found a cave right nearby my base, and carefully made my way down the cave. I quickly found myself another pocket of iron, and plenty more by some lava. After accidentally falling into the lava, as the god of the dead, I realized I had permanent fire resistance. I then started smelting my iron and crafted myself full iron armor and iron tools. I made sure to also mine some gold and quartz for levels, and used the gold combined with iron to craft myself a Helm of Darkness, which had the ability to turn me invisible. Once I had it equipped, I was able to go completely invisible when I crouched. With a decent amount of supplies, I made my way out of the cave and fought some piglins and skeletons on the way back to my base. For the rest of the day, I fought some skeletons and started making my way out of the biome. Also, using my lava bucket, I used it to get some cooked pork chops from the hoglins. However, I was a little bit further away from home than I realized, and got lost in the Soul Sand Valley. It wasn't long until I noticed a structure in the fog. There were wither skeletons guarding it, which I managed to defeat. After getting a closer look, it was a castle. I approached the entrance and had to defeat some more wither skeletons, and finally entered the strange castle. Waiting for me at the end of the hallway was the Wither Skeleton King. It lunged forward to attack me, and the battle had begun. I used my shield to block his attacks, and almost got hit by a massive strike. I then used the lava to my advantage to burn down the Wither King, and got hit pretty hard down to 1.5 hearts. I backed up to regen, and used my lava to burn the Wither King to smithereens. The Wither King was defeated, and an item was on the throne. It was the Wither King's soul, which I used to gain myself an extra heart. I then pillaged some of the Wither skulls in case I would need them later, and started making my way back to my base. Eventually, I had made it out of the Soul Sand Valley, but immediately stumbled upon a village. But before I could enter, 2 Piglin Guards rushed out to stop me.
Stop right there.
What business do you have here?
Hey, don't attack me. I haven't even done anything.
Don't play dumb with us. We know you're Hades, and you're here to torture us.
Hey, that's not true.
Yeah, right. If you really want to prove your intentions, we have a task for you. We need help finding an ancient treasure hidden away in a tomb. Use this map to find it, and we'll welcome you with open arms, if you succeed.
Well, that's fine by me. I'll be back shortly. After receiving the map from the villager guards, the name of the map wasn't legible, and on the map was a set of coordinates. So using the coordinates on the map, I eventually found the entrance to the dungeon. So I entered the dungeon and started carefully making my way through. I turned a corner to find a chest, which seemed to be looted. It looked like this was a maze, and it wasn't long until I ran into demons. They weren't friendly and they immediately started to attack me. Luckily, I was able to easily defeat them and eventually found another chest, this time with diamonds, carrots, and gold. While making my way through the maze, I fought a few more demons and looted a few more chests. Eventually, I seem to have found the final room of the maze. There was tons of bookshelves and an enchantment table, as well as a chest that stood atop a podium. I decided to loot the enchantment table first and the bookshelves, and went up to the chest to see what was inside. It was a relic of immortality created by Iapetus himself. So I looted the relic, turned around, and was charged by a minotaur. I gotta get out of here! I made a dash for the exit while the minotaur was chasing me, and barely dodged another charge. I ended up reaching a dead end and blocked myself off and dug away. I kept on running and eventually found my way to the exit. The minotaur continued to chase me even outside of the maze, and eventually I was cornered out of the edge of a cliff. I jumped down into the lava below, knowing I was resistant to it, barely escaping the minotaur. The minotaur then left to return to the maze, and I re-emerged from the lava to get back on land. I then started making my way back to the village to report the news. I walked up to the two guards with the relic in hand, and the two guards turned to each other. And it wasn't long after till the guards accepted me into the village. They both escorted me to their town hall, so I went to enter the building to meet with the mayor. I presented the relic to the mayor of the village, who then thanked me for helping them out. Then, with the rest of the villagers rejoiced and threw me a party. They even served me some steak, and we partied for the rest of the night. However, on the morning of day 12, one of the resident piglins noticed a strange portal outside of the village. After him noticing, I noticed it as well, and realized what it was. Iapetus, the god of mortality, had appeared once again.
Hades! I was wondering how you were doing. You really care about the approval of some weak nether villagers? Pathetic.
Iapetus, I won't let you get away with this.
Oh, is that so? Well, I'll have my companion take back that treasure you just stole from one of my labyrinths. Let me know how the fight goes.
Is that a Belrog? Without warning, the Belrog spat fire at me and the villager, and Iapetus fled the scene. I tried facing the Belrog, but his attacks were too powerful, and I was forced to run away. The Belrog was wreaking havoc across the village, and the villagers tried fighting back. The Belrog managed to slay a bunch of them, and I had to use my invisibility to run away. Eventually, I made it back to my base and knew I needed to get stronger to face the Belrog. So I went out to train myself against wither skeletons. I tried using my invisibility to sneak up on them, which didn't seem to work out very well. As the god of the Underworld, I tried taming one of the wither skeletons, which unfortunately for me failed, forcing me to take out the wither skeleton. I also made sure to gather some more food, but when I returned to my base, there was a demon waiting for me. Iapetus dares to send another demon?
Hades, calm down. I'm on your side. I was banished by Iapetus to the nether for disobeying his orders. Your dog, Cerberus, Iapetus is planning on killing it since it's refusing to work for him.
Not Cerberus. I can't believe this. Thank you for telling me. We must find him as fast as we can. I've got to go right now. After receiving the news, I remembered that the village was under attack. So I rushed back to the village to see if the Belrog had left. Once I had arrived, I didn't see any buildings. All that was left was piles of rubble where the buildings used to be, and there were no piglin villagers in sight. Instead of normal piglins, they were all zombified. I then noticed one of the zombified Piglin Guards. I then had a pretty good idea. I then tried using the taming ability that I had tested earlier, and it seemed like it worked. But there was only one way to find out. I command you to jump. The zombified Piglin Guard then jumped. Realizing that the Piglin Guard would follow my orders, I had it follow me to the buildings. Piglin Guard, can you place a block? The Piglin Guard then placed a block, confirming my suspicions. I decided I was gonna tame an army of Piglin Guards to serve me in my own village. However, I was gonna need lots of materials in order to build my own village. So with the help of the zombified piglins, they went out and gathered a bunch of materials for me. So on days 18 to 20, I started building the new Hades village. Instead of using materials from a crimson forest, I used materials from a warped forest. This is so it would fit my blue and black theme. After rebuilding each and every one of the villager homes, homes. The village was restored. However, while the zombified piglins are re-inhabiting the homes, a massive strike of lightning happened outside the village. Zeus, what are you doing here?
Hades, I need your help, brother. My dear pet Thunderwing has been kidnapped and brought into the Nether.
What do you mean? How does that even happen?
Whatever the case is, it's here, and I want it back.
All right, I'll help you get it back. I know you're not allowed to retrieve the undead like I am. Do you know who killed him?
Well, a mortal defeated it, sending it down here.
Do you have anything you can give me to help me find him?
Here, please use this feather to locate him. I'm relying on you, brother. I'll return in a few days.
So after receiving the feather from Zeus, he had disappeared. It was a feather from his pet, the Thunderwing Titan. I was gonna need to build some kind of tracker to help me locate it. So I started building myself a nether conduit. This would allow me to pinpoint the location of Zeus's pet using the feather. Once the conduit was complete, I placed the Thunderwing feather in the middle, and an end crystal had spawned in the center. It pointed in the exact direction that the Thunderwing was located. And so with this information, I started heading in the direction of the Thunderwing. After traveling for a bit, I found myself in a basalt deltas biome. Since I was immune to lava, it wasn't too dangerous. And eventually I had found the Thunderwing. It was locked inside of an undead cage. I slowly made my way up to the cage and noticed skeletal guards protecting the prison. I knew I needed to be a bit sneaky, so I built underneath the cage and mined my way up. I was now in the middle of the Thunderwing's cage, getting swarmed by skeletal guards. I started taking them out one by one until I eventually defeated them all. All that was left to do was to free the Thunderwing from his cage. Don't worry, Thunderwing, I've come to save you. So using my pickaxe, I mined the bars of the cage to free Zeus's pet. The Thunderwing then flew out of the cage and started making its way back to the village. So I followed behind it, and after about a day of travel, we made it back to the village. And on the dawn of day 26, Zeus had reappeared.
Hades, have you managed to find my thunder? You found him!
It was pretty easy, so don't worry about it.
You have done me a great service, brother. I will make sure to repay you in due time.
Not a problem, Zeus.
All right, I can transport myself out of here, but you'll need to make a portal for my Thunderwing to get through. Send him in after me.
Without any explanation, Zeus had disappeared. How am I supposed to teleport you to the overworld? I guess I can try and summon a portal. If I channel my powers, maybe I can do it. All right, here goes nothing. Please work. I did it! I opened a portal! What the heck? Hey, where did you come from? All of a sudden, without warning, the Phoenix started shooting fireballs at the village houses. Hey, stop that! I had no long-range weapon to reach the Phoenix and was trying to hit it with my axe. While I continued pursuing the Phoenix, the Thunderwing left through the portal. Hey, get down here! I continued chasing the Phoenix all the way out of the village, which flew away into the Nether. And don't come back! The damage the Phoenix had caused had left all the buildings on fire, so for the next couple of days, I put out all the fires on the homes. I'm not sure how I made that portal, but I'll need some better weapons if I accidentally summon something like that again. So with a new goal in mind, I knew I'd need to gear up in case the Phoenix returned later. So I made my way back to my base, only to be greeted by the strange demon again. What are you doing here again? The demon then explained that he could bring me back to the place where my pet dog Cerberus was. So, following the demon's lead, we traveled for about a day until we finally reached a gigantic skull. Whoa, what is that? It was huge, and in the mouth of the skull was some strange portal. Using the basalt rocks and the lava, we parkoured our way to the skull, and the demon then explained that this was the entrance to Tartarus. The demon then leapt through the portal, so I reluctantly followed him in. When I made it to the other side, however, the demon was nowhere to be found. However, I was finally returned to my home, Tartarus, the dimension below the Nether. I started by following the lava river, but was swiftly greeted by enemies. They shot fireballs, which I managed to block with my shield, and managed to kill the first two. They even dropped blaze rods, so I made sure to kill a few more in case I needed to brew later. After following the lava river for a while, I finally found a dead end. The end of the lava river led me to a strange structure. I approached it to see what it was, and realized it was massive. I followed the road leading up to the structure, but quickly noticed there were two guards ahead of me. Where am I?
Psst, Hades.
Hey, it's you again.
This is Iapetus' prison. You'll need to avoid the gods if you want a chance of breaking out your pet Cerberus.
I'll have to use my invisibility then. So, knowing this was Iapetus' prison, I took off my armor knowing I needed to be invisible to sneak in. Using my invisibility, I started sneaking up on the guards. I decided it'd be a good idea not to attack them, and I swiftly made my way up the stairs. I peeked around the corner and saw another two guards standing at the entrance. So, using my invisibility helmet, I slowly made my way past the two 2 guards. I then made my way up another flight of stairs and noticed my dog Cerberus in the distance. He was sound asleep in one of the prison cells. I quickly ran up to him, excited that I found him. Cerberus! Cerberus! Don't you worry, Cerberus. I'm gonna break you out of here. Even though I did my best to go undetected, Cerberus's barking had alerted a guard. Oh, hey there, I was just visiting. The tiny guard started setting off an alarm notifying the whole prison. Uh-oh, this can't be good. When I turned around, there was a ton of guards rushing straight at me. I've gotta run, Cerberus, I'll break you out of here later. I sprinted as fast as I could away from the guards, knowing that if I got caught, I would suffer the same fate Cerberus would. I made my way around a corner and blocked off the guards from attacking me. Using my invisibility and parkouring down the side of the prison, I had barely escaped with my life. Just when I thought the coast was clear, one of the prison guards had caught up to me. I started fighting him alone, and after a few hits, I managed to defeat the prison guard. I kept on running to make sure I had gone enough distance away from the prison, and eventually stumbled upon a familiar face. Hey, it's you again. I need to get stronger so I can rescue Cerberus. I couldn't really break him out. Know anywhere I could find some diamonds?
The name's Dave, and there's diamonds all over the place here. If you're up for it, the Wither rests just north from here. If you manage to defeat it, you'd gain immense power.
Sounds like a plan. Thank you, Dave.
Don't thank me. You're doing me a massive favor. I hate that guy.
So after thanking Dave for all of his help, Dave and I went our separate ways. After exploring through a bit through Tartarus, I noticed some ores in one of the walls. They turned out to be diamonds and gold. I used the diamonds to craft myself full diamond armor and diamond tools, as it seemed like diamonds are pretty common down here in Tartarus. After some more exploring, I noticed a strange plant on the ground. I went up to the plant to collect it, and it started making noises. Eventually, it dropped on the ground, and it turned out to be a healing flower. So I looked for more of the flowers across Tartarus and collected myself a bunch. I then returned back to my base in the Nether, grabbed the 3 wither skeleton skulls, and enchanted all my diamond armor with protection 1. I also crafted myself a bow and arrow and returned back to Tartarus. After heading in the direction that Dave had told me to, I started running into some wither skeletons. I fought off the wither skeletons that were attacking me and tested out the healing flower. It healed me for 4 hearts. This was definitely going to prove to be useful. I started making my way across the lava as I had noticed something in the distance. After slowly making my way across, I eventually reached the massive center island. Also in the distance, there was a strange figure. This must be the wither that Dave had mentioned. I realized it was after I placed the first skull. This was nothing like a wither in the normal Nether. It started coming to life after I had placed the 3rd skull and pried itself out of the ground. I tried using my axe to attack the wither, but got swiftly knocked back, forcing me to use my bow. I started pelting the wither using my bow and arrow. It took a ton of damage from the wither skeleton skull. After healing up a little bit, I continued firing arrows from a distance at the wither. The wither did a spin attack, which knocked me back. It then knocked me in the air, causing me to take a ton of fall damage. After healing up again, I had landed the final attack on the wither. One of the skulls fell on the ground as it was defeated, but all of a sudden the skull started shaking. What is going on? I thought I just defeated it. The wither then re-emerged from the ground, only with 1 skull this time. It had the form of a basilisk. It started shooting wither skeleton skulls. It was creepily crawling towards me. It used its giant arms to attack me and sent me flying backwards. I continued pelting it with arrows, and all of a sudden it grabbed its head and tore it clean off. It spat out wither puddles onto the ground, which withered me when I stepped on them. I continued hitting the wither with my axe to try and finish it off. It was even still able to shoot wither skeleton skulls at me. So I used my bow again to land a few more hits, and eventually landed the final attack. The wither was finally defeated, and it dropped a giant staff. It was a Wither Lord staff, which had multiple different abilities. It shot out blue energy orbs and casted energy circles on the ground. Whoa, this is awesome! With my new staff I had acquired, I knew it was a good idea to start heading back to base. But when I got back to the portal, Dave was waiting for me. Look what I've got, Dave! I defeated the Wither!
So I can see. You're wielding his Wither Skull staff. You could hit anything with that from miles away.
I'll definitely make good use out of it. After my quick interaction with Dave, I went back through the portal, back to the nether. Now that I had this wither staff, I knew it would be a great idea to try and craft myself a Hades bident. So I got myself a few pieces of ancient debris and crafted myself an empowered Hades bident. Shortly after crafting the Hades bident, I evolved back into my godly form. I was back at 30 hearts, and my weapon maintained the wither staff's abilities. Not only that, but I had gained the ability to fly. This was definitely going to help me travel around the nether a lot faster. After I finished testing out my abilities, I returned back to Tartarus. With my newfound abilities, I knew it would be a good idea to try and break out Cerberus. So I flew to the prison and started attacking the prison guards. Using my flight abilities, the prison guards couldn't reach me, and I swiftly wiped them all out. I then killed the remaining guards by Cerberus's prison cell, and had finally freed my pet Cerberus, and we were reunited. On the morning of day 41, Cerberus and I returned back to my village, and the villagers seemed to take a liking to Cerberus. However, it wasn't long till we were greeted by visitors. There was an army of demons approaching the edge of the village, so I went to approach them. What are you doing in my realm?
We were sent here to ambush you by Iapetus. He promised our entire kingdom immortality if we were successful in defeating you.
Well, looks like you'll have to switch to our side of the conflict. Using my godly powers, I knew I could tame all the demon villagers.
We are at your service, Hades.
Very good. You'll be a useful addition to our army. With some new villagers entering our ranks, I then made sure to build a couple more homes for the demon villagers to live out of. After I finished expanding the village a bit, the demons were ready to move in.
Thank you for the new homes, Hades.
Of course, my army needs a fitting home. With my army expanding, I'll need commanding soldiers. I'll infuse you both with some of my power. So, using my godly abilities, I upgraded the two villagers into giant Piglin Guards. That should have definitely made you guys a lot stronger. I now had two pretty trustworthy soldiers on my team, but I didn't have enough power to make them all that big. So I spent some time mining a bunch of gold, so I could craft plenty of golden armor and swords for the rest of the villagers. I then distributed all the gold armor and swords to all the villagers. Your service in our village is very appreciated. And once all the Piglin villagers were geared up, my army was complete. And now I had the demon villagers to protect the village. Now that we're all geared up, we'll be moving out to infiltrate Tartarus. Cerberus and the demons will protect the village. With my army of Piglins, we entered Tartarus. I'll clear the path, you guys follow carefully. With a plan to locate and infiltrate Iapetus' castle, I advanced with my army throughout Tartarus. Until eventually, after a couple days of travel, we had stumbled upon a castle. There were multiple guards out front, and my two Piglin guards leapt into battle. While they dealt with the guards, I rushed into the castle. As I entered, the Piglin commanders battled with the robot guards, and the Piglin villagers battled with the demon guards. When I entered, I was greeted by a giant demon skull. The battle had begun between me and the netherite demon, and I pelted it using my Hades bident. It did a lot of damage, so I used my healing flowers to heal back up. I tried blocking its attacks with my shield and continued spamming my long-range attacks. And after a few more hits, I had defeated the netherite demon. Alright team, let's pillage this entire castle and then we're moving out. Even though it turned out not to be Iapetus' main castle, I managed to get some potion supplies for my troubles. After the hard-fought battle, I brought my army back to my village to resupply. I've decided I need my own castle to live in. You'll both have the task of building me one. Now, get to it. With over doubling in size, I thought it only made sense to have my Piglin villagers build me a castle that was suitable to live out of. So after a couple days of building, the Piglin villagers eventually completed a giant castle that would serve as my main base. I made sure to test it out by sitting on my throne, and it felt just like home. I completed the interior by furnishing it with some chests, some brewing stands, and some furnaces. Once the interior was complete, a familiar face had returned. What seems to be the problem, Dave?
Hades, I needed to inform you. Prometheus, the warden of the prison you were at, is searching for you. Iapetus has sent him on a mission to kill Cerberus since you broke him out of prison.
Prometheus? Who is that? Dave continued explaining who Prometheus was, and I was more than surprised to figure out the truth.
Prometheus! Why weren't you guarding the prison?
Well, an intruder has distracted me from my post. It won't happen again, Lord Iapetus.
Cerberus was broken out of prison because of your incompetence. If you want to redeem yourself, the next time you return, it better be with Cerberus's heads.
He's the god of fire, and Iapetus' right-hand man managed to distract him long enough so you could break Cerberus out. I couldn't come sooner since I was spying on them.
Seems like he'll be tough to defeat. I'll need to bolster my army some more to defeat them both.
I have an idea. Remember that phoenix that attacked your village? You should have enough power as the god of the dead to be able to tame it.
That could work, Dave. I'll see if I can do that.
Lord Hades! Lord Hades! The Phoenix was spotted just north of the village.
North? I'll head there right away. With the information of where the Phoenix was, it didn't take long for me to fly over and find it. I wasn't sure if I'd be able to tame it, but after getting the Phoenix's attention, I managed to tame it with my powers. Now that the Phoenix was tamed, I brought it back to the village and had an idea to use the Phoenix's power to get stronger. I knew that Zeus had owed me a favor, so I summoned a portal to summon in Zeus. And it didn't take long for him to arrive. Brother, I must ask you to pay back your debt. I need help getting stronger to defeat Iapetus.
Fair enough. I'll lend a hand where I can, but I can't promise anything, Hades.
What do I need to do, Zeus?
I see you've tamed yourself a phoenix. The phoenix is known for its unlimited power. I have an idea. You'll just need to trust me.
The Phoenix? I guess I can trust you this one time, Zeus.
All right, here goes nothing.
With a flash of lightning, Zeus infused the Phoenix's power into me, giving me a massive power-up. I had gained 10 extra hearts, and had got a major upgrade to my Bident. Instead of 1 orb, I shot 3 at once, and I was even able to summon my own undead army of dogs. Not only that, but I could teleport to anything in my sight. These new abilities were definitely gonna help me in battle.
Now that I've helped you regain your power, it looks like you're on even footing once again. Good luck in your conquest of the Underworld, brother.
Thank you, Zeus. It feels nice having my powers back. And so, in a flash of lightning, Zeus had disappeared. I was eager to test out my new powers, so I returned to Tartarus, summoned in my army of undead hounds, and watched as the demon warriors began to run away from them. They had every right to be scared because my undead dogs absolutely mauled the demon warriors. I also tested my weapon's new abilities and was taking out a lot of the demons really easily. I was also running a bit low on food, so I killed a group of hoglins and started exploring Tartarus to see if I could find any more signs of Iapetus. It wasn't long till I stumbled upon a new biome. I've got a weird feeling about this biome. As I got deeper into the strange biome, the mist had went to a dark purple. I then noticed some enemies in the distance. What the heck are those? They seemed like giant end creatures that immediately started to attack me. I used my weapon's long-range abilities to knock them back and managed to defeat them. They also dropped ender pearls, confirming my suspicions that this was some sort of end biome. After traversing the biome a bit more, I saw something even crazier. Those do not look like end creatures. Oh my gosh, they do so much damage. After getting a taste of what these strange creatures could do, I knew I needed to get the heck out of there and teleported away, running for my life. It seemed like this biome was almost uninhabitable and there was no way Iapetus was here. So I exited the biome and had to replenish my supply of healing flowers. After gathering the healing flowers I needed, I continued my journey throughout Tartarus. And it wasn't long till I stumbled upon another strange biome. This one was completely made of soul sand and was filled with skeletons. I've got a bad feeling about this biome as well. After traversing the biome some more, I managed to find myself some netherwort, which I gathered, but then saw something strange dive into the sand. What the heck is that? There were some kind of demonic worms that jumped out of the soul sand. I used my flying and long-range attack to defeat them and decided to be a good idea to fly the rest of the way throughout the biome. After searching the biome some more, I found a strange place which is completely made of basalt and blackstone. I carefully entered the strange place, and after searching a bit more, I heard something behind me. What the heck is that? It seemed like I had entered the nest of the Flayer demon and I was gonna have to fight my way out of it. It did a ton of damage and I was forced to use my healing flowers. I closed the distance to do some damage, but decided it would be a better idea to start using my ranged attacks. So from a distance, I started pelting the Flayer demon with my energy bolts. It started breathing fire, which I was luckily immune to, and landed another huge hit on me. I had it down to half HP and continued slamming the Flayer demon with ruthless attacks. It was only down to a quarter HP left, so I closed the distance to finish it off. It knocked me back with its tail, and after a few more long-range attacks, I had defeated the Flayer demon. However, when I turned around, I was greeted by 3 more Flayer demons. All right, that's enough. I'm getting out of here. I quickly teleported away from the Flayer demons, and the Flayer demons continued to pursue me. Luckily, with my flying and teleporting, I was able to outrun them, and eventually I had escaped the Soul Valley of Death. On day 74, after following the lava river for a little while, I eventually found a small valley. Instead of demons everywhere, there were cows and pigs. So I had an idea and returned back to my village. Cerberus, you're coming with me to Tartarus. Phoenix, you'll be taking over the position as guard of the village. Disintegrate any intruders you see. Cerberus seemed more than happy to accompany me back to Tartarus, and I started gathering the materials I would need to get it built. Cerberus and I returned through the portal, and we eventually made our way back to the peaceful valley. I made sure to have 2 of my Piglin Guards meet me there and ordered them to build me an outpost. They started with the base, and after a few days of building, they finished the outpost by capping off the roof, and the Tartarus outpost was complete. I then went inside to see what they had done with the interior. They had put in a throne, chests, bookshelves, and furnaces. Now that I was settled in, it was now time to train my pet Cerberus. So I brought Cerberus to the end biome and had him practice his attacks on the ender monsters. Cerberus was able to easily defeat them, so I gave him some meat as a reward. As he was training against the ender beast, he learned some new abilities. He used a stomp to knock his enemies up and a tail whip to knock them back. He was getting even stronger, so I rewarded him with more meat. After Cerberus's training was complete, we returned back to the outpost. Now it was time for me to get another upgrade. I decided to return to the Soul Valley of Death, as I had remembered seeing an abnormal amount of ancient debris around. So I mined myself a bunch of ancient debris and returned back to base. I smelted up all the ancient debris I mined, crafted myself plenty of netherite ingots, disenchanted all my armor, made sure to repair it all, and upgraded all of it to netherite armor. I then went out to gather some XP by killing mobs and mining myself some nether quartz, and enchanted each piece of netherite armor with protection. After this big upgrade, I stepped outside my base and saw someone approaching. I didn't recognize him at first and went to approach.
Looks like you're not very good at hiding after all, Hades. You've made yourself at home here in Tartarus.
And you must be Prometheus. I understand you're looking for my dog, Cerberus.
Hand over your little dog and I'll spare your life, Hades.
You think I'd just hand him over? Over my dead body.
Then over your dead body I shall be.
Prometheus lunged at me and started to attack. I had a feeling I would need to keep a distance, as he had massive blades in hand. I made sure to pelt him hard with my energy bolts, and he swung his blades at me, doing a good amount of damage. I summoned in my army of undead hounds, and they helped me attack Prometheus. Prometheus flew up into the air and started summoning his own army. After taking a few hits from them, I managed to defeat them and continued battling with Prometheus. He flew up into the air once again, but I knocked him out of the air and kept on attacking. After a few more hits, I had finally defeated Prometheus. Cerberus, I'll let you do the honors. And watch as Cerberus consumed Prometheus. Cerberus seemed happy with the tasty meal and had gained a new ability to breathe fire. Iapetus won't stand a chance now. On day 86, I had returned back to my village to get some supplies, but was once again greeted by Dave. Dave, I just defeated Prometheus and remembered that you were the one that spied on him. Has Iapetus destroyed my castle?
That's great news! Iapetus actually took over your castle and has it guarded by powerful demons. It's heavily fortified now.
Sounds like I'll need my army to invade the castle with me. I'll have them distract the guards while I sneak into the castle to defeat Iapetus once and for all.
I know the quickest way to Iapetus' castle. Tartarus is a maze if you don't know your way around.
Sounds like a plan, Dave. I'll have you lead the way when we set out later. I'll need to strengthen my army first. With Dave knowing where Iapetus' castle was, I decided to return back to the Tartarus outpost and made sure to bring my army of piglins with me. Listen up, troops. We'll be invading Iapetus' castle, so I'll need each one of you to muster as much strength for this battle as you can. There was one final upgrade I wanted to give my troops before we went to invade. A bunch of diamond swords and handed them out to all the piglins. I then brewed some speed potions and strength potions, and now that Dave was here as well, we were ready to move out. We're moving out, team. Dave, you lead the way. Dave then sprung forward, ready to lead the way to Iapetus' castle. My army and I closely followed Dave, and he made sure to avoid all the dangerous biomes. After a few days of travel, we finally made it to Iapetus' castle.
Be careful not to get spotted by their scouts.
It was finally time to invade. After second glance, I noticed it was heavily guarded. But this is where my army was gonna come into play. My 2 piglin commanders led the charge and began the assault on the demon guards. And on the other side of the battle, my pet dog Cerberus and the piglins started storming the front gates. With the guards distracted, I teleported into the castle and cleared out some of the guards. stars. I teleported in again and found myself in the throne room and was now face to face with Iapetus.
Hades, you're finally here. Unfortunately, you're too late. I have grown to be much more powerful.
You don't scare me, Iapetus. I'm gonna take back Tartarus and my rightful spot as ruler of the Underworld. All of a sudden, Iapetus and I were transported away. Iapetus had teleported both of us behind the castle.
Once I'm done with you, Cerberus will be next.
With the title of ruler of the Underworld on the line, the final battle had commenced. Iapetus had teleported forward and shot out green meteors at me. He was also throwing purple energy orbs, and I tried closing the distance to land some hits. I managed to land a few, but was knocked back and teleported away from Iapetus. I was stuck in a lane of fire and had to dodge the incoming flames, as I had to close the distance to stop Iapetus. I eventually closed the distance enough to stop Iapetus from attacking. He then pushed me back and started summoning in an army of flame demons. I decided to keep focusing down Iapetus and summoned my army of undead hounds to deal with Iapetus's army. I was taking significant damage in the fight and used my healing flowers to get back to full HP. I reused my strength and speed potions, but Iapetus had leapt into the air. He rained down a barrage of comets. After managing to dodge all the meteors, Iapetus started summoning in ender beasts. There was a ton of army members to deal with, so, along with my ranged attacks and my undead hounds, we took out most of his army. Iapetus was starting to get really low, and as my hounds started to swarm him, I landed the final attack on Iapetus.
This isn't over, Hades. Like this.
And so I had finally reclaimed my throne as ruler of the Underworld. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe, and I hope you all have a great day.